What is up, everyone? Sean here, and today in this video I'll be talking about my first impressions after playing the Star Wars Battlefront beta that was on the PS4. So gladly I got plenty of footage, so you'll be able to see that in this video. So first off, the graphics look absolutely gorgeous for a console game, and it ran beautifully, it ran smoothly, and with the netcode and all, I think it ran great. It's essentially eye candy, and it definitely captures Star Wars in the visual aspect of it. You know, from the shooting, you know, the lasers and all that, to the vehicles, to, you know, the people, including Luke Skywalker. I thought he looked pretty decent too, as well. Not too bad, not too shabby, and especially you know Darth Vader himself. I mean, he looks really awesome in those graphics, and of course the environment looked pretty good too. I think the gameplay thus far was also kind of reflects truly with its visual. It was smooth. It felt essentially like Battlefield to me. It controlled pretty well and wasn't as stiff as I thought it would be, and it just felt natural to me. And I just love that you can go back and forth with the third person and the first person perspective. So if you're a fan of either two types of shooters, you know, first person and third person, you'll definitely be able to switch back and forth with that. So I kind of stuck with the first person because, you know, I'm more of a first person shooter fan, and for me it helps with the aiming. And the game modes that were offered were Drop Zone and Walker Assault. Of course, Walker Assault is pretty much everyone's favorite, and you pretty much get to relive the battle with the rebels against the Empire on Hoth. So I think that's really cool. You get to, you know, pilot the walkers, the ATSTs, and all the other aircraft that were in the battle. And the vehicle controls were, for the most part, not bad. Flying can be something you have to get used to, but I managed to get it going, you know. And I of course crashed a couple of times my first time, and so the flying controls could be better, but you can get used to it. You can tolerate it. It's something you can kind of get passed through. And gladly you have unlimited sprint, so that's really good. So moving around the field is not much of a problem, but also the jump pack is really good to have if you're that mobile type. So you can add that to your soldier and pretty much jump around. And I kind of like that system where you have to kind of recover your cards, which essentially gives you the equipment. So you have the grenade card, so whenever you use a grenade, you have a cooldown of a couple of seconds, you know, 12, 9, you know, what have you. And kind of like that. I kind of like having that option too. You essentially have unlimited grenades, quote unquote. You just can't spam it, you know, within the period of time. You gotta wait for that cooldown, and then you can throw it again. So I like that system very much, actually. And the same goes for the guns. You essentially have unlimited ammo per se. Of course, they're lasers, so what you have is cooldown. So you have the option of cooling down faster by hitting square, but you have to do that within the yellow bar of the cooldown. But you have to hit square within the yellow portion of the cooldown bar, otherwise you have to be waiting a lot longer than usual. But when you do get that right, you're able to cool down instantly and continue to shoot. And you also have a trait card. The trait card doesn't actually add any more space, but of course you only have one card. And the sharpshooter trait allows the ability of faster cooldowns whenever you get headshots. So it's really good for people that are good at headshots. So you'll get a much more benefit out of getting headshots besides more points, and that is to cool down even faster with your weapon, and you can essentially get even more headshots if you're really good. So can't wait to see what they have more to offer when it comes to the cards and the equipment and the customization that it will potentially have. A lot of things weren't available for the beta, of course. They only kept it kind of really small. But the customization for your soldier is there, and you can essentially show it off when you're in third-person mode. And like I said before, the netcode was, for the most part, really good, and it ran a lot smoother than during the first few days after launch day of, you know, Battlefield 4. You know, I got really salty about that, and I just couldn't take it. It had so many bugs and glitches and stuff like that. And this one, Star Wars Battlefront, didn't had none of that pretty much, other than some visual glitches where soldiers kind of freeze up as they die, or Luke Skywalker or Darth Vader kind of freeze up when they die as well, or get wounded, and it essentially looks really funny. Other than that, there weren't really any glitches that really kind of bothered me. In Walker Assault, there were complaints about the Rebels getting a much harder time than the Imperials, but being in the Rebels requires more coordination with your team. So essentially, you just have to follow the objective, which is to defend your activate the uplinks and defend them, so that way you can build up the number of the Y-wings for them to bomb the walkers, so that they set up the shields and you attack the walkers and potentially win the game that way. You can also kill the walkers instantly by getting a speeder, and if you can pull off the cable tie around, you can essentially win that way. Using the orbital assault or orbital strike can also get rid of the walkers a lot faster. Just have to save them up and just be really smart about it. And yeah, essentially being a rebel means that you have to be smarter. You kind of don't want to care about the KD ratio. I mean, I know a lot of shooter fans want to care about that, but you gotta play the objective to win. So a lot of people were complaining about that at first, but people were pretty much picking it up by towards the end of the beta period, and the Rebels were able to get more wins noticeably. So being the Imperial though is still fun though. It's just the opportunity just to destroy everything that crosses your path. You can pilot the AT-STs and even pilot the Walker. And being a Walker is really fun too. I mean, you don't essentially control its movement, of course, but you can just use all the weapons that at its disposal, and it's just really fun to do. And AT-STs can rack up a lot of kills as well. Just gotta be really careful because their health is a lot lower, their armor is not as strong, but they're still formidable and scary to face against. You just need the right tools to get rid of the AT-STs, and of course teamwork, so that definitely helps. And again, piloting is a lot of fun once you get used to the controls. So I can't really wait for the other modes such as cargo and the fire squadron, so on and so forth. And the other mode, which was drop zone, was okay. It was not bad. It's a pretty decent mode to have, which is like 8 on 8 versus 8 gameplay, where you essentially capture these pods, which acts kind of similar with Hardpoint, with for those who are fans of Call of Duty, where you capture a point, you hold it until a certain amount of time, try not to let the enemy take that point, and you get a point. You get a point that way when the zone, or excuse me, the pod is fully captured, and you keep doing that until you get 5 points and you win the game within the span of 5 minutes. So this is essentially more quote-unquote Call of Duty-esque, but hey, it's still not a bad mode. But you can only play it so many times, so that was probably like my least favorite, but it's still not bad. The other mode is essentially a survival / hard mode with stormtroopers, and you can play that with a friend. And my friend and myself had some fun with it. It's not bad. I mean, not really much to it. I actually already played that mode at E3, so already kind of got my surprise there, and kind of already knew what to do pretty much. So I think really Walker Assault was the most fun that we have. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, either you're part of the Rebels or the Imperials. You can be Luke Skywalker from the Rebels, and you can be Darth Vader from the Imperials. And when you're either these quote-unquote heroes, because Darth Vader is a villain, you have to pick up the hero power-up and use it right away pretty much, so that you don't die and lose it. And when you do, though, it's really fun. I think you just feel really empowered, especially if you get to use it right, and go into a good area where you see a lot of bad guys. You see a lot of the enemy, and they're just kind of bunched up, and they just don't see you. You just pretty much have a lot of power in your hands, and you can use the power of the Force. When you're Vader, you can force choke someone, or when you're Luke, you use the push. And it was just really funny, and it was really fun whenever you're either one of the two, and you only have them for a limited amount of time because their health slowly declines, and when there's a bunch of bad guys shooting at you, you can die pretty instantly too if you're not careful. So yeah, Walker Assault was pretty much the most like fun I've had with my friend Danny, and yeah, we both loved it. And it's, you know, either being an Imperial or Rebel, you know, we both had fun with it because the Rebels offered a challenge, and the Imperials kind of just offered like just good old-fashioned fun, just killing things and what have you. One of the flaws I like to put out there that that essentially stick with me was the matchmaking. Sometimes it actually kind of just dies out. You just don't get anyone sometimes, and you're just kind of stuck in limbo at times. But didn't really happen too often with myself and Danny. But it happened definitely with the streamers I've watched that were playing the beta, and it was certainly a problem to be concerned with. Also, another problem was that whenever you are in a party, sometimes you just lose people, and you know, you can't just automatically go into a game with all your members right there. They all had to accept the invitation really quick. Otherwise, the spaces can fill up fast, and you have the possibility of not being able to play with all your teammates. And even when you're partnered with someone, they actually don't stick with you for some reason if you're joining another game. That can be a real headache, and I don't know why that has to be a problem. Hopefully that gets fixed when the full game comes out. So my suggestion is that, of course, when you join a game, if everyone is automatically joining a game, so you know, each individual doesn't have to accept the invitation to that game. You know, kind of like with how Call of Duty is. And also, we should have the option of increasing the party size, so that way, you know, we can have a full 20-man team against another full 20-man team. I think that would be really, really fun, especially during Walker Assault. And unfortunately, we only have up to 8 because, well, there's drop zone. But we should just have the option to do so that way, you know, okay, so for example, you have a 20-man party, you just have to just play, or they just put on this restriction of being able to play only games that have 20-man teams. So instead of just because of drop zone can only have 8 people on each team, you only have a party of 8 people. That should not be the case. I mean, so again, I suggest that you can just have, you know, have an option of having 8-player parties or 20-player parties, you know, so that way you have a party dedicated to drop zone or modes that are like drop zone, or you have the more bigger game modes with 20 people with your 20-man party. So I think that would be really fun. And also, you know, streamers can bring in more people and with their viewers, and they can have this big ass freaking team. I think that would be really fun, especially against other 20-man teams. You know, you can essentially have 2 streaming channels battling it out in on the planet of Hawke. I think that'd be really freaking cool. But again, that's such a suggestion. And of course, the spawning can be pretty rough. So especially when you're spawning on your partner, sometimes it just doesn't work. Had that a few times. I don't know if that happened during the all the games that I've captured, but yeah, I definitely ran into that problem too. And spawning can be pretty bad on its own too. So that way, I mean, people can get in on the spawn kills. So yeah, it can get pretty bad. So hopefully they can fine-tune the spawning, and we're pretty much good to go. Yeah, so essentially, overall, it is Star Wars with Battlefield elements in there. It's just turned into Battlefield. I think it just makes sense because we've already seen Modern Warfare so many times, and we just wanted to play that Star Wars with better graphics and, you know, fun gameplay and being able to play against a lot of people. So I think this makes sense. I mean, the Battlefield engine works with Star Wars. It ran smoothly, and I didn't have any noticeable problems with that. So overall, I think it just makes sense. I'm definitely sold on it. And when it comes to the season pass, I'm really iffy on that. It's just really too much, in my opinion. $50, my goodness, that's a whole nother game for, you know, a couple of editions and stuff like that. If it was $30, then yeah, I mean, I'll definitely consider it. But $50, my goodness, that is a bit much. So what it really comes down to is, do you want the game, or do you want that access early, or do you just want to wait? But the people who have access to it by putting in $50 are able to go into that 2 weeks early. That is ridiculous. So by the time the rest of us have access to it, we already have people that are 2 weeks experience with that. So that is plenty of experience, and they're gonna kick our ass, and we're gonna have a hard time, and a lot of people are gonna be quitting, you know, or you know, whatever. Might have very bad reactions to that, you know, and you know, a bunch of people might just get off the game because of that. So I don't know, man. I mean, I'm afraid that this will I'm afraid that they will, you know, just carry on with it, and you know, whatever, business as usual. But yeah, it's a little harsh, I mean, I think, in my opinion, from EA. I mean, 2 weeks, man. That is. I know companies do this with their games, but you know, especially with Call of Duty. But yeah, this is still pretty bad, guys. I mean, 2 weeks access for those people who are willing to put down another $50. So it's essentially sort of, in a way, pay to win. You know, pay to get more experience and get the advantage. So yeah, you are paying to win. So again, the people who aren't gonna pay are gonna get, you know, gonna get behind. And yeah, this is just not fair. And it also sucks that the story mode is not being offered in this game. It's just essentially a multiplayer online game, which really kind of irks me, because these graphics are really cool, and we just won't get to see any cool cutscenes just because essentially they're kind of lazy with it. So, but putting that aside, I think Star Wars itself is a fun game. I'm gladly gonna purchase the initial game, of course, and have a good time with it with friends, and being able to party up and form a squad and go in there and just go pew pew everywhere. So that is essentially it for me on my first impressions on the Star Wars Battlefront beta on the PS4. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys for listening and tuning in on my impressions. So if you liked it, hit the thumbs up, and don't forget to share and subscribe for this channel. Always helps out this channel, and I highly appreciate it. So if you have any comments or thoughts about the Star Wars beta, go ahead and leave them down below in the comment section. And again, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Sean out.